Fred here, welcome back to the Gear Obsession channel. In this episode, I will be doing a review of the Barnes & Noble Nook Touch Reader. There are a lot of book readers out there, and I'm going to quickly, before I open this up, just tell you why I decided to get this type. Because you can get the color Nook, or the Nook tablet, or the Kindle Fire, which are color versions, almost like a tablet. I have a big 10-inch tablet here, and these are pretty good, but they're heavy, and their battery life is not that good. It's only about 8 hours, and trying to sit in bed with this thing, it's pretty heavy. So I already could do my internet stuff on here and everything, but it's not really practical while like relaxing in bed. Or also these type backlit color ones, when you're outside in direct sunlight, the screen gets washed out. So these are not good outside in direct sunlight. They're okay in shade, but not direct sunlight. So I wanted something with the e-ink type of screen, and I'll tell you what that's all about here. So let's go ahead and get started opening this up. We'll do a mock unpackaging here, because I've already been using it for a week, or I wouldn't be calling this a review, I'd be calling it a first impression. So you get yourself a quick start guide. You get your Nook. I believe this is the screen that it has when it's off when you first get it. If it's not, I apologize. And you get a USB cord. No power supply. You do not get a power supply. And you get all this for the unbelievable low price. I can't do two things at once. Unbelievable low price of $99. So first, let's take a look at the cord here. They really do give you a generous long cord, pretty long, and standard USB on one side to plug into your computer or charger of choice, and the other side you get that little micro USB plug, which same as usually your cell phones and other portable devices. And you sort of plug that in right down here, in this plug right here, and then you plug the other side into a computer or a charger. You plug it into your computer, you'll get a little folder that pops up on your screen, and you can click and drag stuff to your device. Real simple. Other things you get here is you get this little door that opens up. If I could get it open, you gotta have nails. Oh man, there we go. And you can see you have a place to put a micro USB card, or micro USB, the same kind that you would put in your cell phone. So, but this thing comes with 2 gigs already in it, so that's like 1,000 books. So whether you really need it, I don't know. You could use it as a way of transferring stuff to it if you don't want to use the USB. The only other control you have here on the back and the sides is the power button right here. Other controls you have is you have these buttons, and these are page up and page down buttons that you could go ahead and go into the settings and change around, but I almost never use these buttons. So those are all the controls. Now let's talk about form factor, and this is one of the main reasons why I bought this over the Kindle, the Amazon Kindle Touch version. This thing has a contour on the back, and it has wider edges here on the sides that ergonomically makes this a superior e-reader compared to the Amazon Kindle Touch. I mean, you really have a good grip because your fingers sort of come around and lock onto this little lip here. It just feels right. It feels good. The Amazon, the bezel here is a lot thinner, and it's a flat edge, so you don't feel like you have a secure grip on this thing. So anyway, let's talk about the specifications really quick, and then we'll go ahead and turn this thing on. You get a breathtaking e-ink display. This is the best e-ink there is, bar none. It's 25% faster, 80% less flashing, which we'll talk about, than the others. It's a 6-inch display. 6-inch display. It's a 800 by 600 pixel, and it has 16 level grayscale. You have 7 different text sizes. You have all kinds of different fonts to adjust the text so it's easier on your eyes depending on how old or how bad your eyesight is. It has a 600 megahertz processor that runs everything in here with 256 megs of RAM that does all the dirty work. Battery life. This is another main reason why I got this type. This thing has a 2-month life. And it's kind of unfair to say 2 months because actually whatever the display is static just like this, it's using no power. When you change the screen, that's when power is used. The only other thing that uses power is the wireless. If you turn your wireless off, that you get that 2 months. If you leave your wireless, your Wi-Fi on, then you probably expect about 3 weeks. The way that they calculate the life is you do about a half an hour reading a day, it'll last 2 months. So if you read more, your mileage will vary. So let's go ahead and turn this on. I'm going to go ahead and hit the power button, press and hold it for a couple of seconds, and you'll probably see it flash. Now when you get this, it's pretty much dead, so you got to plug it in, charge it for a couple of hours, and then you'll be able to start it up. Now it does take a little time to boot. It's not a computer, folks, so it does take a little bit, but once it's up and running, it's pretty fast. And I'm not going to interfere with the video here. I want you to actually see what you would experience. Now, I've been running this thing for about a week and I haven't charged it. We can take a look and see what the battery life is. But anyway, has like a screensaver thing of poets. You could change it to nature scenes too. So let's go ahead and start it up. You just do a swipe like you do with the other Android device. This thing actually has Android 2.1 running in the background, and then Barnes & Noble puts their book reader over it. So you just do it a swipe, and there's your home screen. And you can see there's the book I'm reading right now. And just to give a short shout out to this guy, James Wesley Rawls, he has a book out called How to Survive the End of the World as We Know It. Really good book. I'm learning a lot. Highly recommend it. $12. It's on a lot of the top 100 book lists out there. If you want me to do a review on this book, let me know in the comments below, and I'll do a review, because I'll tell you right now, it's a great book. So here's your home screen. So let me show you how this works. I'm going to open up that book. It's going to go to the last page I was at, which was page 99. And now you could use these buttons to sort of go forward and back. Right now, out of the box, the top one advances you in the book, and this one brings you back in the book. Now, the reason why this screen is so much faster than the Kindle or even the Sony readers is because there, you saw that flash? It only does it every 6 pages. And then I can change back, and it won't do it till the 6th page change. See that? All the other readers, they do that refresh. That's because of the nature of this e-ink. You do get a little bit of residue from the last ink when it changes sometimes. So originally when these came out, they would black, sort of erase, like a etch and sketch after every page change. But this screen doesn't require that with every page change. It just needs it every 6. So that's why it's so much faster than the other e-readers. Another thing about this screen, it's so crystal clear. It's like reading a piece of paper. And that's another big difference between these e-readers and these type of standard devices. Let me turn this back on. The reason why is because this is a capacitive display. So there's an actual film over the actual monitor or the display that, you know, your finger, and I guess it's electromagnetic with the capacitive, can sort of sense where you are. And then the cheaper tablets use a resistive type of, which is not as good, type of touchscreen. This, in fact, is not really a touchscreen at all. There is no film over this display. Instead, if you notice, the display is sort of sunken in just a little bit. That's because there's infrared sensors around the inside of this bezel. And when you put your finger in there, you're breaking an XY coordinate, and that's how it knows where you're pressing it. So you barely got to touch this thing. Just as an example, I am barely just going to barely touch that display, and you can see it changes because you're just breaking that XY sensor, infrared sensor. Pretty neat. So anyway, I told you could save battery life by turning off your wireless. Real easy to do. This sort of button down here, the Nook button, which I didn't talk about, brings up this standard menu on the bottom. Go into your settings, and I'm going to go into my Wi-Fi setting and turn off my wireless. I'm sort of holding it off because I don't want you to know the name of my SID. But now you can see that the wireless is turned off and there's nothing there. And then we'll go ahead and bring it back to, let's say, the home screen. And by the way, the Nook again has the best home screen out of all the e-readers. You know, you go to the Sony or the Kobe's and the Kindles, and their home screen is just not as intuitive and as nice looking as the Nook's. So there you go. Now there are some downsides to this, and we'll get to that really shortly. Every device has good and bad points. Let's take a look at the library. I only have a couple of books I only started reading. Can't you tell? And you can organize them into shelves if you want, or you could just display them all. You have ways of organizing your books. One idioticity of this thing is you can't delete a book off this thing. You have to like log on to your account online to sort of get it to go away. It's a little bit tricky, which is kind of weird, but whatever. So like here's my books, and you know, you could go to another device, like if you have another Android tablet and you put the Nook application on it, you know, if you got wireless, it's letting, I guess, Barnes & Nobles know what page you're on, and then if you go onto another device and continue reading, it knows where you left off. Or you could read it on your computer using free application. And by the way, the Android and application is also free. Another great thing about this is if your library gives ebooks, you can check out the ebook and read it on here instead of handling some nasty book that everyone had their nasty hands on, coughing and passing around that cold. Other things. Let's talk about why this might be good in a survival situation. Why would you have an electronic battery operated thing over, let's say, a magazine, and consider this as a possible thing for a crap hits the fan kind of scenario over a magazine that doesn't require any power? Well, here's just some things to consider. I'm not saying yes or no, but this device again has outstanding battery life, lasts a long time, and then of course if you prepare it properly, you have a hand crank charger or maybe a solar panel that you could charge this up, and then you're good for another 2 months. But let's say you got these things and you break them, and now you can't read the fine print in your magazine, so you're screwed. You know, then you're out of luck. And I'll tell you, if you're sitting around with nothing to do in a survival situation, you already killed your food, you got your water, and now you're bored to death, and you want to read, but your glasses are screwed. Well, one of the things you could do, look at that, see, everything's out of focus. One of the things you could do, oh, I messed up. Sorry about that, folks. Okay, so you got your screen, you can't see it. What you could do is you just sort of tap the middle, brings up this other menu that you can hit this text, and you can change a whole bunch of things. You could choose different fonts, you could choose different text sizes. So they have the blind man, I broke my glasses font size, and there you go. And I'll tell you, let me take my glasses off, and man, I can see that. I can read this with no problem, even without my glasses. So you can see how bad my eyes are. So that's pretty good. Gives you a capability that you didn't have with a regular magazine. They have other things, like you can make it where the text is, oh, that's line spacing, I think. Hold on. I guess that was. I'm trying to figure out what, this thing has so many different features. You can change the line spacing. So for something that might be more comfortable, you could change the margins, so you have more margin or less margin. You can see how this changes. So you could change how much margin you have. Again, I'm not sure if I showed you the line spacing, so you could change the line spacing there if you want. Or if the publisher provided a default, you could go ahead and set it to the publisher's default, and then it'll put the book the way that the publisher intended you to read it. Pretty neat, huh? So just a gorgeous display. This thing is perfect in direct sunlight. Now the downsides to this type of display, of course, is it's not backlit, so if you're reading this at night, you need a light, just like you would a regular book of some sort. And you can see a week ago I did a review of that moleskin light. Really good. Well, you could clamp on any other kind of light onto this thing. It's all good. There are about 1 million different cases. There's probably more for the Amazon Kindle than there are for the Nook. But I found this one, it was on sale, probably because it's a little unconventional. Most of them open up this way. This one opens up this way. And this is magnetic, so it'll hold on to the back. Or it'll hold on to, when you have it closed, it'll hold on to there. And because this is made by Nook, it has this little piece of plastic here. So when you press on the little Nook thing here, you could basically turn it, hits the power switch, you could turn it on and off without taking it out of the case. Also has these plastic tabs. Now the ones that are not made by Nook, or the aftermarket ones, they have those straps that sort of go around the corners. They look pretty cheesy, but there's some holes built into this thing. You can see these holes here, and there's notches on this plastic thing here. Just go ahead and pop this on, and there you go. And I like this case because I'll sit in bed and I'll just tuck my hand under here, and then I can sort of swoop back and forth just like that and hold it just like this. But you lose that the beautiful ergonomics when you have it in a case, unfortunately. The other thing is that you could sort of make this into like a tripod, so you just set it down and read it. Pretty cool. See that? So, very nice setup. And also, just to note, this screen is very, very tough. It could take a lot of abuse. I banged it up pretty good, and it's not even a mark on it. So it's done very well. Oop, there we go. And if you just let it sit, the screensaver will kick in, and you could change the screensaver if you want, where it does like nature scenes or something like that. So highly, highly, highly recommended. One other thing, you know, I looked at all these e-reader screens and everything of this size. This does have the clearest picture out of them all. Anyway, for those of you who wanted more functionality of this and maybe don't have a tablet and want a way to maybe just get to a website to check email or something like that, you could hack this thing. You could go to a website called XDA Developers, and they're a bunch of hackers that, you know, have custom ROMs to a lot of different devices, including this one. So you could go ahead and basically remove the restriction that Barnes & Noble's put on this, basically giving you administrative access to the actual operating system that's running, which is Android 2.1, and you're basically rooting it. That's what rooting is all about. And then you could basically get to all the features that are hidden behind or locked out by the manufacturer. So you could get a browser on here. Now this type of display doesn't really lend itself to being a great browser because it doesn't refresh very fast. But it's good to go to the website where you can check your email, things like that. It does have an email client in there. You can check Gmail and, you know, all kinds of other things. However, it might be easy to put the application that cracks it on it, because I did it and it was very easy, but it was very hard to get it back off. So it's hard to back out of it. The reason why I backed out of it is because it just didn't, you know, I got all these things, and I could also do email and check stuff with my phone, so it didn't make sense to have to do it here too. And it did break some functionality, like that shop button right here stopped working, so there was an icon within the operating system to get to shop, but that didn't work. So I didn't like that, and so I just restored it back to its norm. So some downsides. Well, this particular device has less features internally than the Kindle Fires do. Or not the Kindle Fire, but even the other e-readers, like with the e-ink by Sony, and the Kindle Touch and the other Kindle with the e-screen. Things that they have that this doesn't is they have a browser, so, you know, where you don't have to root it, where this one it doesn't. I'm pretty sure that the Kindle, I'm not sure about the Sony, have it where you can play MP3s. It also has the capability of reading the book to you if the author allowed that to happen. Or I guess it does text-to-speech, or it just narrates it somehow. I don't know. That's not something I wanted. If I were to get an ebook, I would just download the MP3 and throw it on my MP3 player, my iPod, or something like that, or burn it on a CD and stick it in my car. I just wanted a reader, and I wanted the best one there was, and I wanted it to be very light. This is like 7.5 ounces, and I wanted it to be ergonomic, so it was very comfortable to hold. And that's where this excels over the rest. So I really give this a 9 out of 10. If you're just looking for a reader, and out of the other bells and whistles, you're the most comfortable, clearest, fastest reader, you know, with the best screen, best text, and flexibility with that. One other bad thing I almost forgot. PDFs. It doesn't, you know, this uses the EPUB technology, or the EPUB format to display. So when you get books, let's say from the library, you want to make sure they're EPUB. If you buy them from Barnes & Nobles, it already knows and does it, so you don't need to worry about format, you know, what type of file it is. But if you go to the library, they're going to have different formats for different type of e-readers. This uses EPUB, but this also could read Adobe PDF files. And I hate Adobe. That's besides the point. But when you're viewing an Adobe, when you're viewing an Adobe file, it really doesn't give you as many options. You can't change the font. You can't do nothing. All you can do is change the size of the font. That's it. You don't get all those other features that you do with EPUB that you could really customize the view. This sucks at PDF. That's why it's not getting a 10 out of 10 as a reader. The other ones do a lot better with PDFs. This also has the capability of GIF images and PNGs, and there's certain formats of images it could also display. But you know, it's a black and white display, 60 grayscale, so I want to make sure that I covered everything. I'm pretty sure that I covered just about all the important things out of here. This is highly recommended here at the Gear Obsession channel, and thanks to this guy I've started reading books. Because I really, out of my whole life, I might have read 3 or 4 books from front to back. The only books I actually would read would be not really a book, you know, I'd read magazines or reference material or instruction guides and things like that, and I would just read whatever I had to pass the test or learn what I need to learn. But I never actually read anything from front to back. This James Wesley Rawls survival book, you gotta get it if you want a review. I'll finish it up. Just let me know in the comments, and I'll do a review on it, and I'll tell you what makes that survival book special and better than the other ones. So thank you very much for joining me here at the Gear Obsession channel. I really appreciate every friend, viewer, subscriber, and you. And hope you have a great evening.